I've had depression since my father committed suicide when I was 7 years old. I know that is a hella depressing way to open up a video, but it's the truth. Though that event no longer affects me as I was too young to recall, the ripple effects have haunted me throughout my entire life. I've had people and professionals tell me that if I feel depressed, I should go exercise, go for a walk on the beach, just get outside and live. But I'm not really that kind of person. I don't go for walks. I hate exercise, and when I'm in the darkest depths of my depression, I don't necessarily want to go outside and live. For years and years, I failed to manage my depression. I would just lay in my room, staring at the wall, hoping something or someone would come in and just take the pain away. I even thought about doing it myself, just like my father before me. But thankfully, I have never gone through with it. I could never find that comfort thing, that thing people do when they are down that always gets them through it. But as I got older and I started figuring out who I am and what I enjoy, I stumbled across my comfort thing to get me through the darkest of times. But that comfort was found in the most unlikeliest of places, found within the darkness, in a place that's usually associated with fear, tension, anxiety, and instability. That thing being horror. When I tell people this, even some horror fans, I always get a strange look followed by the person questioning how I feel anything positive or comfy for such a horrifying place. And sometimes I ask myself that same question. Am I more broken than I originally thought? But instead of submitting to the belief of what gets me through the black void should be something else, something more cheery, I've come to accept that no matter what other people think, I know why horror helps me. I guess this video is going to explain why. Honestly, I'm not sure what this video is supposed to be. Maybe because lately, things have been so bad that this is my means of expressing myself. But also, maybe someone else is out there who is going through the same thing, and they will know they are not alone. Not truly. And sometimes, that is enough to get through another day. I guess the first way that horror helps is through the stories being told. Whether it's a book, a movie, a game, or a podcast, most horror tries to focus on the fragility of the human psyche and how the characters try to deal with the horrors that have engulfed them. Sounds familiar, right? That is what initially attracted me to horror. Other genres tend to paint people as black or white, good or bad. Of course, there are many exceptions, but these genres seem to view the world in a very simple way, without any of the nuance that truly defines the human experience. At least, that's in my opinion. Horror isn't afraid to tackle the instability of the human brain. Sometimes they don't nail it or use it as a means to create an antagonist or a monster, but others use it to dig deep into a person. Films such as The Babadook, Lake Mungo, Pet Sematary, and We Are Still Here. Games such as Silent Hill 2, Days Gone, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. Or books such as House of Leaves, The Road, or Rosemary's Baby all attempt to tell a story with characters who are broken in one way or another. They all have their demons. Whether that is coping with the loss of a loved one, dealing with the responsibilities of parenting, or trying to find meaning in a world that, in their mind, does everything it can to take meaning away. These pieces of horror refuse to conform to the black and white mantra many other genres tend to follow. They want to tell stories about complicated, broken, meaningful characters. But most of all, they want to tell human stories. Even if there are also ghosts, demons, houses that defy all logic, or a satanic cult that wants a baby, the core human story still remains, and elevates all the other aspects surrounding it. And when I first started getting into horror, and I saw these human, multi-layered characters who had demons of their own, I saw myself reflected in these characters. Though I may not relate to their individual experiences, I do relate to the emotional damage such experiences can cause. Horror told me that I'm not alone, that what I'm going through is not specific to me, that many people go through it as well, and that made me realize that many people would also understand. Much like the characters in horror, I may not relate to people's individual experiences, but I could relate to the damage such experiences can cause, and that I could get through it, and that I will get through it, and that I'm not really alone. The second reason is the tone of horror. It is dark, oppressive, tense, atmospheric, unsettling, and to me, all of that is beautiful. You would think these things would probably be the worst to help me get through my depression, and honestly I don't blame you. But for me, it's like being exposed to these somehow lifts the depression out of me. Like the horror has dug its claws into my soul and ripped out all of the self-hatred, all of the sadness, all of the perceived inadequacies, all the thoughts of death, and it has twisted and contorted them until they are in their purest form and then pulled them into the story, freeing me of their control. Now I get to experience it from an exterior perspective, detached from it all. I get to examine it, understand it, and move past it. Nothing else manages to do that for me. The last reason, and the reason I cherish the most, is that it reminds me of home. One of my earliest memories is when my mother took me to see The Grudge at the cinema. I remember hiding under her arm throughout most of it, and she protected me from the horrors on the screen. She has always protected me. We continued to bond over horror movies. We would laugh when a girl gets split in half in Wrong Turn 2, or when old mate from The Human Centipede 2 propped his dead mother up at the dinner table. We found a lot of deaths funny actually. I swear we are normal once you get to know us. But whenever we are together, we sit down and put on a horror movie because that is what we always do. So when I'm in my deepest, darkest place, I just consume horror because I want to recapture those feelings and memories she and I shared. My love of horror grew from my mother sitting me down and watching movies with her, and that love continued to grow to the point where it has now developed into one of the most important things in my life. And I wouldn't be able to get through it without my mother. So if you're watching, Mum, I love you with the entirety of my heart. Horror is something special to me, and I know it is special to many others as well. This community is so passionate for the genre, and that passion comes from a place of deep love. A love that many may not understand due to the nature of horror, but a love that becomes stronger because of that lack of understanding. And I just want you to know that if you feel the same way as I do, if depression has its grasp and it feels like it will never let go, just know that it truly has no control over you. And people are there who love you and want to see you get through whatever your mental illness throws at you. If you too feel horror helps you with your depression, please let me know. You don't have to share your entire story, but I just want to know if there's others out there like me who find comfort in the darkness. This is where I usually plug all my stuff and list my patrons, but I don't think it's appropriate in this video. I hope you understand. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you're happy, because you deserve it. Now, go and consume some horror.